Okay, y'all, we got to get into this Diddy documentary. Hey, y'all. Hey, if you're new here, I am Media Money, and this is the Media Sip, where you pull up a drink, we watch a couple of our favorite things, and you tell me what you think, honey. And when it comes to this Diddy documentary, we definitely got to get into it. Okay, this documentary had so much acclaim because everyone knew that this was the Netflix documentary that none other than King Troll, King Petty himself, Curtis 50 Cent Jackson, had been teasing us for months, saying he was working on a Diddy documentary that was going to bear all. So this is that documentary. It's currently #1 on Netflix, and I watched this 2 days ago, and it's still sitting on my spirit. Like, I cannot shake it. So I definitely wanted to make this video to dive all in. If you are not already following me, make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe, because I need to know what y'all think about this too. Let's get into it. This is The Reckoning. So episode 1, Pain versus Love. Now, before we get all the way started, I do want to dive into one thing, because I think everybody is missing this about this documentary. A Black woman, director Alexandria Stapleton, she likes to go by Alex Stapleton, who has been in the business since 2005. So she's put in the years, y'all. Like, she didn't just come out of nowhere. She's worked with Netflix on the Chelsea Handler show, which, if you know, you know. 50 Cent and Chelsea Handler are like super cool. Like, that's his homegirl. So I wonder if that was the link of how like Alex met 50. I'm not sure. But anyway, she is the actual director, y'all. 50 is not the director. 50 is not a producer. 50 is simply the executive producer. And for those that don't know, an executive producer is a senior level professional who oversees a media project, from development to distribution. Their main responsibilities is usually including like securing financing, managing the budget, and providing like the overall creative and business direction. So just from what I know from being in the film media industry, the EP usually watches like the final drafts. Like, y'all remember in school, we used to have to write first draft, final draft, all the things. They're not there for the actual like first draft. I think that's more of what a producer would be. So a producer handles the day-to-day hands-on management. The producer will be in the room actually like interviewing the person. Because I saw a couple of tweets and stuff that were saying like, oh, 50 is so petty for the questions that he asked some of the people in interviews. As an executive producer, y'all, he's not doing that. So I wanted to clear that up. 50 is the executive producer, but the director is Alexandria Stapleton, a Black woman. And let's get into it, because one thing I will say about this documentary, the pacing, the cinematography, the storytelling, all of it, chef's kiss. Over here, this is the Media Sip. We rate by sips. Baby, that was 5 strong sips. They did that. Okay. So let's get into the documentary. It opens with him with Diddy on the phone with his lawyer. He's at the Park Hyatt in New York. This is September 10th, 2024. So at this point, Cassie's lawsuit is out. All the allegations, all of the multiple lawsuits are out. So we're really seeing Diddy really coping with his life being turned upside down. His energy is so erratic, y'all. Like, his legs are shaking. He just seems very uneasy. I'm a big energy person. He just had an aura, like he just had a really bad aura around him. Like, you could just see it. It was just bad. It was bad. And then we immediately cut to a montage of his past interviews. And we see, you know, in that we saw this like super nervous person when he was in a hotel room. But those flashbacks showed us this larger than life persona, okay? This big personality. And I noticed something. We see a clip of Mary J. Blige singing Happy Birthday to Diddy. And the crazy thing is, y'all, has anybody questioned Auntie Mary? Oh, sorry, she don't like to be called Auntie. But has anybody questioned Mary J. Blige? Has she given a comment? Has she given us anything really when it comes to this whole Diddy thing? We need Mary. We need Misa Hilton. We need Farnsworth Bentley, Miss Lorianne Gibson, Miss Boomcat. We need y'all to open up your mouth and share the things, because they were way too ingratiated to not know things. All right, but let's get back to the doc. As we know, Diddy was convicted and sentenced to 50 months. This documentary has exclusive footage of the moments before that. Cause y'all, Diddy hired a videographer. He was even directing that person to get certain angles during that time. Like, while he's at the hotel, there are like snipers, which is not as uncommon as y'all think. But, just for protection, there are law enforcement like on the roof. And Diddy is instructing the videographer, like, yeah, get me from this angle, do this. Yeah, show them up there and then get me. Like, y'all, even in the midst of him knowing his reputation is ruined, he's been accused of all these horrible, heinous allegations, Diddy still was focused on the narrative. He still was trying to produce his own life like it was a video shoot, y'all. Like, it was crazy to me. So the first interview that we see is in the documentary. The first interview that we see is Kalina Harper. Now, y'all remember her from Dirty Money. Her and Dawn were both his co-singers in their group Dirty Money. And from there, we see Aubrey O'Day. We see Eric Sermon. And listen, okay, I don't know who y'all was raised by, but I was raised by Marie, okay? My mama always been cool. So Eric Sermon, Rakim, like, I knew all of that stuff growing up. And it's so crazy because when I tell you Eric Sermon is aging beautifully, that man still look good. And then, of course, Al B. Sure, because one thing about Al B. Sure, he's never going to miss an opportunity to keep his foot on Diddy's neck. You hear me? So he was there. And then we also know that there are going to be jurors that are interviewed during that as well, during the documentary as well. But this is the first episode, so we start off getting into Diddy's origin story. We see clips of Diddy being a dancer in like early hip hop videos. And I gotta be honest, y'all, it was a bit jarring for me to see so many people in those videos and photos that are no longer with us and like had really bad things happen to their life. Like Heavy D, Andre Harrell, the light-skinned man. Oh my God, I can't believe I'm forgetting his name. Drop down in the comments if you know what I'm talking about, but he was in, whatever. But then we get into Tim Patterson. He is a childhood friend who also interned with Diddy at Uptown. He was featured in a few other docs as well. So I knew him when I recognized him. Like, I was like, oh, that's the guy. He has a very tranquil energy about him. And when I see people that walk around with that much peace, I always wonder what chaos did they go through to reach that level of softness. That's the first thing that I think of when I see him. But he talks about his time at Uptown, and he gets into the beautiful Kim Porter. And he's like, Kim was a receptionist at Uptown, and she was dating the label star at the time, who was Al B. Sure. Now, I know now people don't really be knowing that what Al B. Sure is giving, but let me tell y'all, Al B. Sure was that man. He was very much the like eye candy, light skin, lover boy every girl wanted. On top of that, he was the first platinum artist on Uptown. He used to have a hotline that people were paying like $5 a minute just to be able to talk to him. Like, y'all, Al B. Sure was that guy. Okay? For real. But he was dating Kim. Everyone knew. Everyone like championed their relationship. And Diddy was well aware of this. But he would still flirt with Kim. Like, even Diddy had that bravado even as an intern, y'all. Like, really think about that. You the intern shooting your shot at the woman who is dating the star player on the label. ego out of this world. Okay. But with that, everyone described him at that time as tenacious, determined. That's what they all said for him. Very strangely, Diddy ends up moving in with Andre Harrell. Yeah. His childhood friend says that Andre became like Diddy's first instance of like a male role model. But y'all gotta be honest, it didn't give that. It gave a little bit of grooming, because it just seemed like so much inappropriateness was around a young man. Like, Diddy was really early teens. Like, he was, 17, 18. Like, he was not even really fully grown to be doing all of that. So, house parties and things that get you elevated. I ain't trying to get, hey, I don't want to get flagged. So y'all just rock with me. I might have to talk in code a little bit, but so yeah. So yeah, he ends up moving in to Andre Harrell's mansion, and Andre's like, yeah, he moved in before I did. Ha ha ha. Like, it was weird to me, y'all. No shade, but a little bit of tea. It was a little weird. So with that, of course, Diddy's working at Uptown at that point. Tim Patterson, that's his childhood friend, we hop back to an interview with him, and Tim and his mom rented the space downstairs of the house that Diddy and his mom grew up in. So this friend Tim was there for all of Diddy's upbringing. Like, he was really there from the beginning. So the perspective that he was able to give us, y'all, it's a whole different energy. Okay. So this is, again, episode 1 of Diddy's documentary, The Reckoning. And at this point in the doc, we're talking to Tim Patterson, who is Diddy's childhood friend that grew up in the same like brownstone as him. So him and his mom lived downstairs in the house that Diddy and his mother were in. So Tim is giving us a backstage, like when I tell y'all, fully behind the curtain view of Diddy's upbringing. Because as much as we can grow and evolve, so much of our childhood shapes our perception of life. Like, y'all, that's why being a parent is not something to be taken lightly. You literally are shaping the world for another human being. It ain't nothing to play with, okay? So let's get into it. All right. So like I said, Tim is really giving us the background information. This is Diddy's childhood friend. He paints the picture of the vibe of the household that Diddy grew up in. He said that they would watch black exploitation films like Superfly and then see those same type of figures at the parties that Diddy's mom, Janice Combs, would host. He's like, we would look at the pimps on the movies and then actually see those same figures in Diddy's house, like in their house. And their kids, y'all, 7, 8, 9 years old, seeing pimps, seeing NFL players, seeing, the baddies. Like, he's like, yeah, the women would be so beautiful and like dressed and all this, like very, very boom, 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 boom. Okay, the girls would have the things on and the things out. And their kids seeing all of this, y'all. Their kids seeing all of this. So keep that in mind of just the things that's normalized for Diddy. Okay. There are also a lot of substances at these parties where people are taking them to get elevated. So that is normal to him. Okay. Like for me personally, my grandmother owns one of the most successful juke joints in the town that I'm from. Growing up, I seen partying. I seen people playing spades, taking shots. Like, it wasn't abnormal for me. So think about Diddy seeing that, but turned on the whole other side spectrum of things. But with that, those are the building blocks of what shaped Diddy's perception of life. That's really the key thread that threads throughout this whole documentary. Okay. His childhood friend Tim also said that Janice ruled with an iron fist. Meaning she was determined to make Diddy like this tough guy. But at the same time, she really dressed him very fancy, fur coats, a lot of accessories. You know, she would have him in the little fedoras and the suspenders and all of that. So she wanted him to be like a dandy, which is, you know, the word that they use in the doc was dandy. She wanted him to be very dandy, dapper. But at the same time, she didn't want him to be soft. And unfortunately, in the black community, that is very much a thing of normalizing roughhousing young black boys, because it's like, oh, we don't want him to be, you know, da 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 da. And, you know, Tim implied that Diddy's mother was very harshly physical with him in a way that made Diddy very harshly physical as a child when he was having little spats. You know, as kids, now we used to always tussle in the grass. Now we used to do a little tussle, but according to Diddy's childhood friend, Diddy would literally be fighting dirty, y'all. Like, he's biting and scratching and just doing things that were like, okay, yeah, he watched that one. You know what I'm saying? But all of that, again, stemmed from his mother. So while Diddy was interning, unpaid intern, he found party promoting as a way to start making money. So he was hosting and promoting parties that he called Daddy's House. Interesting name choice. But one thing that I really, really did love is, listen, this documentary was very beautifully done, y'all. In it, we see a video from Finesse and Sinqua. Okay, where my old heads at? Aunties that's on the line. Y'all remember them? Straight from the soul. Okay, so in that video, if you remember, Diddy was in that video. Diddy's driving the car in that video. He's playing like the bad guy that Finesse is rapping about. Well, in that same video, the woman that's in the car with Diddy, her name is Joy Dickerson Neal. She was in that video. We meet her in this documentary. And she sued Diddy in 2023 for SA. This allegedly happened in 1991. And y'all, it's 2025. This woman has gone on to live life. But when I tell you can still see that pain on her, she is still going through it. And she said that her mother wrote a letter to Diddy's mother in 1992, and she still had it because she was like, I was going through my mom's things, and she still found the letter. Well, she said, per the letter, in that letter, we learned that Diddy allegedly taped her without her knowledge and consent in the midst of an intimate act. And Puff would show this video on large screens at parties. So people that know her would be like, oh, girl, I seen you, child. And she would be like, what? See me doing what? Like, huh? So just imagine that, like, violation that she felt with that. And before anybody criticizes, like, girl, that happened in 91. What you doing? Coming out in the 2020s, da-da-da. She says in the doc, oh, I attempted. Like, she was like, I tried to reach out to so many people. And essentially, they dismissed her. They were like, girl, what you want me to do about it? If I turn on him, I can't go to the parties no more. And it's not uncommon, y'all. It's not uncommon. There are oftentimes people will side with the abuser because if they go against the grain, they kicked out the in crowd. And that's literally what happened when it comes to Miss Joy Dickerson Neal. I'm so glad she got to tell her story, though. I've never seen her, and I did not know her prior to this doc. I'm glad that her story was highlighted. But let's get back into it. Okay, so we then get into Alpo Martinez. He's a well-known kingpin and party guy. He used to do that. And like show the videos of women he'd been intimate with. And Diddy's peers from that time thinks that that's where Diddy picked up that behavior from. Because this is the thing, right? As a kid, all of his friends confirmed that Diddy was very much like a little bit of a weirdo. He was a little bit of a chump. You know what I'm saying? Like, he wasn't like the super cool guy. People joked on him. He was bullied. Like, they looked at him like he was soft. He wasn't that guy. But his mother being who she was, his dad being this like alleged like kingpin, worked with Frank Lucas. Now, y'all know I'm a journalist, so I did my research. Diddy's father, Melvin Combs, did in fact work for Frank Lucas. Now, his level of hierarchy in the organization, in the enterprise, is highly debated, because a lot of people think that Melvin was simply a driver, where some say like, nah, Melvin was like, the action guy. He was the muscle, but there are also a lot of accounts that state that Melvin was really just a driver. Baby, I won't dare. I was born in 91, all right? I can't tell you. But at the end of the day, Diddy's dad was in that world. We'll just give him that. It's also allegedly, it's alleged that Diddy's mom, Janice Combs, received financial backing from Frank Lucas, and that's how she was able to sustain this like very like upscale life for Diddy. She had him in private schools and always dressed in designer and furs and all that stuff. And allegedly it's because his dad, Melvin, and Frank Lucas had such a great relationship that Melvin was still giving her money. But then it's also alleged that Janice was a little bit of a runner. And they also said that Janice might have been a madam. Moving along. This was one of the most pivotal moments for me in the documentary because, like I just told y'all, I was born in 1991. So, baby, I was a baby. But December 1991, the documentary addresses the tragic celebrity basketball game at City College. I know for a lot of us 30-somethings, we didn't really hear about this until these documentaries started coming out. So if you heard about this during the time that this happened, I need you in the comments immediately, because I'm like, what were people saying? What were they talking about? What was it given? Like, y'all, I need y'all to tell me, ask your moms and aunties too, if they remember the City College basketball, the celebrity basketball game at City College that Diddy and Heavy D were linked to. I really need to know if they know this information, y'all, because this seems insane to me. I'm like, what? So, okay, let's get into it. We see the footage from the game, and it's absolute pandemonium, y'all. People bum rush the door. At the end of the day, it has been confirmed that the event was over-promoted, tickets were oversold, and proper security was not hired. And unfortunately, 9 people passed away. And as the event sponsor, all of that fell on Diddy. I do want to highlight, now, this was not given as much emphasis in the Netflix documentary, but y'all know I love a doc. I watch all the docs. I've seen all the Diddy documentaries. And I want to point out specifically that if you want to know more about the City College incident, hold up. Words mean things. If you want to know more about the City College tragedy, then I would highly suggest you watch the Peacock documentary that's on the network Peacock. It's called Diddy, The Making of a Bad Boy. And they fully go into a lot more detail about what happened at that game specifically. So let's get into it. It was designed to be a celebrity charity basketball event, with the proceeds allegedly going to an AIDS foundation. It was intended to be an AIDS education benefit following basketball legend following basketball legend Magic Johnson's recent disclosure that he was HIV positive. Now, At this point, we all know that we know Magic's diagnosis, but y'all got to remember, this was during this time where him sharing that information was enormous because it had such a stigma behind it. So, them doing this benefit basketball charity game, I mean, they're saying that, it's a celebrity game, y'all. So they're saying Mike Tyson. And remember, this is 90s Mike Tyson. Big deal. Okay, 90s Mike Tyson, Heavy D, Brand Nubian, LL Cool J, Funk Master Flex, like all of the Dougie Fresh, like all of these like big names at the time were all Eric Sermon. All of them were gonna be there. So here's the thing though, y'all. It was advertised on local radio stations and with flyers, drawing an estimated over 5,000 people to a college gymnasium. That gym had a capacity of 2,700. And there were 5,000 people crammed into there. So it was overcrowded to the point that the glass shattered and people were trampled. Think about your high school gym. Everybody knows that the plexiglass in a gym is meant to be like super sustainable, okay? It was so many people in there, y'all, that glass shattered like craziness. And the sad part about all of this is a lot of people claim that Diddy did not help people. Like, y'all, it was hard to watch that footage because they have the footage from, people laid out, people can't breathe, them trying to resuscitate folks. It was difficult to watch. And ultimately, some people are like, oh, Diddy was in charge of marketing. And he oversold it like it was an arena when it was literally a small college gymnasium, y'all. He was doing stuff like telling y'all, bring the whole city out. We're going to show them how we do it. And he didn't hire enough security. Overselling tickets. Then, of course, y'all, it's New York. You already got the people that's going to scalp tickets. And then on top of that, this is aimed to a younger crowd. You also got to account for the people that's just going to bum rush, jump it. Listen, but I'm going to tell y'all what this made me think about. It really immediately when I saw the amount of people rush into that very small building, the first thing that I thought about was Travis Scott and Astroworld, where these artists and promotional companies have no regard for actual real life. Because the capitalism of it all. Y'all so busy trying to make a buck. Ain't even worried about the fact that this is unsafe. And because of that, 9 people were unalived and 27 were hospitalized. Diddy was in litigation with the victim's family for 6 years. And at the time, Diddy's net worth was $40 million. And the family of one of the victims was there because Diddy personally gave her a ticket and was like, nah, baby girl, I want you there. So imagine how her family feels. Like, she wasn't even going to go at first and you gave her a ticket and we lost her. Like, come on, y'all. All of the lawsuits settled. Unfortunately, none of the families ever received an apology. And to this day, Diddy still denies that he oversold the event and all of that. Yeah, it's really just sad. And the actual city medical examiner said that the reason, the cause of being unalive for everyone there was asphyxia due to compression of the chest. There weren't broken bones or any of that. That means these people were literally crushed to the point they could not breathe, y'all. And all they were trying to do was go to a game and have some fun. Heartbreaking. The beauty of the Peacock doc. So that's why I said the beauty of the Peacock documentary, if you haven't watched that one, is they actually include the family members of the victims from the City College tragedy. I particularly enjoyed that because we've never heard from them or seen them or even heard their family members' names, honestly. And one quote that I love is from Erykah Badu, like, someone doesn't, there are two deaths, the when someone transitions and then the last time someone says their name. So I love that forever these 9 victims will forever be immortalized and will never be forgotten. And I want to take a moment to remember the City College tragedy and those that we lost. And listen to these ages, y'all, because it's heartbreaking. Jabal Rainey, 15 years old. Leonard Nelson Jr., 17 years old. Letitia Hurd, 19. Sonia Williams, 20. Yul Dargan, 24. Sharice Ann Noel, 26. Darren Brown, 28. Dirk Swan, 20. And Dawn McCain, 20. God bless the dead and may they rest in peace. They are the 9 victims who passed at the City College tragedy that was over promoted by Diddy. In 1997, in his Grammy Award winning album, No Way Out, Diddy did shout out the City College victims. He did completely, evade responsibility. He still didn't take responsibility, but he put it in a song. He said, "To the City College deceased, may you rest in peace. To the families, I never meant to cause no pain. I know the truth, but if you want, then I'll shoulder the blame." Okay. I will say it is really nice. One of the victims, Sonia Williams, her family started a small foundation called Sonia's Seeds, and they to this day provide scholarships to nursing students. Really doing great things in New York still to this day in 2025, even though this happened in 1991. And her brother confirmed that to this day, Diddy has still not contributed. So there you have it. But let's get back into the Netflix documentary because that's why we're here. But listen, baby, I'm a journalist. I'm going to do my research. But yes, let's get back to the Netflix documentary. Okay. Now we fast forward to November 1992. And now Andre Harrell has made Diddy he's made him an A&R for Uptown Records. A&R stands for Artist and Repertoire. Diddy then goes on to introduce Jodeci and Diddy. Well, because he wasn't Diddy then, so let me start calling. He was Puffy back then. He was Puff Daddy, Puffy. So at that time, Puffy brands Jodeci's entire image, from the baggy jeans and the Timberlands to the melodic vocals over the hard hip hop beats. His next artist to come from that same formula is none other than the Queen of Soul, Mary J. Blige. Diddy basically manufactured hip hop soul. And because of that, he is promoted to vice president then of Uptown Records. In a very weird situation at that time, he befriends Eric Sermon. And again, if y'all don't know these people, go talk to your mamas and aunties and your dads and uncles, okay? Okay, because y'all, it gets really crazy. So Eric Sermon is huge at that time, y'all. We talking about the 90s. It's 1992. Eric's, y'all, get into it. Do you know your things, okay? But super big at the time. And Diddy gets Eric Sermon to do the intro for Mary J. Blige on What's the 411. So for my real R&B lovers, you know that voicemail intro where it's like, "What up, this Eric," y'all, that's Eric Sermon, okay? So Eric Sermon's ex at that time was none other than fashion architect and celebrity stylist and designer Misa Hilton. Okay? And the girlies that know Misa, okay? Misa was styling everybody in the 90s. From Mary to Jodeci to Wu-Tang to, I mean, y'all, the list goes on. If they was popping in the 90s, they worked with Misa Hilton, okay? So, at the time, though, that's Eric Sermon's ex. Diddy befriends Eric Sermon, and then in a weird twist, he starts pursuing Misa. And his friends literally said, well, his former friends said in the doc, like, yeah, Diddy would like look at that as a challenge. He did the same thing, you know, with Kim and I'll Be Sure. And then he like did the kind of same thing with, you know, he did the same thing with Misa. They were like, yeah, he had a pattern of like pursuing other people's women. But then it got weird for me because Kirk Burroughs, which was one of Diddy's friends, he was interviewed in the documentary. He was one of Diddy's friends, and he is known officially as the co-founder of Bad Boy. He shared that he was there when Diddy was like physically abusive to Misa. He said he literally saw them fighting in the streets. And then 1 year later, she's pregnant with Justin Combs. And makes him, and they make the friend and co-founder, Kirk, they make him the godfather to Justin. And I'm going to tell y'all why that's weird. So much was normalized back then. Just like the domestic violence of it all, the like abuse on women, physical abuse, like y'all fighting in the streets and nobody said a thing. And now y'all have a baby and everybody smiling at the church. Huh? Yeah. But yeah, it was really, really just normalized back then. Which is, child, let's move on. But from there, unfortunately, like you would think that the city college thing would have been a detriment to Puffy, but it was not at all. Puffy's trajectory actually was out of here. It boosted his credibility in a very weird way. And he started to become too big for Uptown Records. So naturally, him and who was his like mentor, Andre Harrell, they started to bump heads. And Andre Harrell had to fire him. And now we get into the part where we meet Biggie. Because at this time, West Coast had the hardcore gangster rap. And Diddy's looking and he's like, yeah, New York got to tap into that. Like, we got to tap into that. So he signed Biggie in 1992. Technically, Biggie was still like he was signed to Uptown. He was an Uptown artist initially, but then, you know, Puff and Andre Harrell had to falling out at the time. So that's how we get big on what is ultimately created, which is Bad Boy, which we all know. I will say this. I saw this on the documentary and I wanted to know if y'all knew this. Did y'all know that Notorious B.I.G., do y'all know what the acronym stands for? I had no idea. I really just thought it was like big because he was like a bigger guy. Like, I genuinely did not know. But no, in an interview, Biggie literally says, you know, it's the Notorious B.I.G. business instead of game. I was like, okay, Biggie, I didn't even know that. Did not know that. But listen, I was born in 1991. I done told y'all not too much on me. But yeah, so after Diddy was fired, he was fired from Uptown. He creates Bad Boy. He gets his friend, the one I just talked about, Kirk Burroughs. He's the co-founder of Bad Boy. He gives Kirk 25% of the label. But Puff makes sure to give his mom, Janice Combs, the other 75%. And it was because it was supposed to protect the money. So even just out the gate, y'all, the creation of Bad Boy had some nefarious things going on. Just out the gate. Kirk said they did a deal of $10 million. The co-founder Kirk said he ran all of the budgets in the internal office. So again, we're the director Alex Stapleton and 50 was really able to get some people that were true insiders of the bad boy Puff Daddy camp, y'all. Because I've never seen this man. I've watched like 4 or 5 different Diddy documentaries. I've never seen this guy. But yeah, Kirk Burrows. So he says at this point, with the money and the fame and his artists are on the charts, he says at this time that's when Puff starts this whole gangster persona. Because when he got the label started, he called him a paper gangster, meaning like, oh, you can bully people with money and contracts and invoices. But it was like, no, Puff wanted that in real life. Like, nah, you see what I'm about type of bravado and persona to really stick to him. And Kirk said that's when it really started. It was so funny to me. Eric Sermon shared a story that Puff swung on him because Misa was sitting in his truck. He said Misa's just sitting in his truck. I think he said they was just talking. Like, again, that's his ex. He said they were cool. Nothing was going on, right? He said Diddy comes up and knocks on the window. And Eric, like, he rolled the window down like, what's up? Diddy swings on him, misses. Which, back to his childhood, y'all. How many people y'all know swing and miss? Okay. But anyway, he swing on him and he misses. So Eric like, oh, you got me messed up. He like, nah, we gonna finish this off. Misa gets out the car. He tell him, nah, hop in. We pulling around the corner. Because he like, hey, we celebrities. We ain't going to do this stuff out in the open. But, hey, we going to take it around the corner. And we going to do what grown men do now. We're going to shoot the fade. We're going to you shoot your one. And we going to do what we do. He said he pulled around, like, ready to, like, take it there. And he said Puff just was like, nah, be cool. And then played Biggie's album for him. And, y'all, I just love this. That's the one part I love about human nature. Like, just who we are as humans. You can put on a act for a long time, but your truth will always reveal itself. And that was that little story, that little anecdote. And I know, because again, as executive producer, 50's on the cutting floor of what stays and what goes. I know, without a shadow of a doubt, Curtis Jackson was like, leave that in there. Because it make Puff look like a little chump. But yeah, at this point, we're closing out the first episode. We get into the co-founder of Bad Boy, Kirk Burrows. He says again that, we start getting into Tupac and the West Coast thing at this point. We just start tapping into that at the very end of the first episode. And at that time, the co-founder of Bad Boy openly says, verbatim, y'all, he's like, I think Puff had a lot to do with Tupac being unalived. And y'all, that ends the episode. That was episode 1. One thing I would say about this documentary, beautifully done. I am a documentary girly. I truly, truly enjoyed the timing, the pacing, the cinematography, everything of how this was done so beautifully. I truly hope that Alex Stapleton wins the awards that she deserves because of her work on this. Beautifully done. And then I just want to say this too, just from observation of body language and how Puffy carried himself. Even that name, Puff Daddy, he said he got that because he used to puff his chest a lot. Meaning he was always doing a performative version of masculinity. Let's be real. And for me, in his younger years, I always could, like, even every clip that I saw, Puffy always came off as a lost, insecure, full of fear, like a fearful little boy, just lacking connection, lacking like real emotional depth and love. Like even younger, like even in his younger videos, he just seems so dead behind the eyes. Am I the only one? Please drop down in the comments and let me know if y'all see that in his footage from when he was younger. Because you would think that, new coming into the industry, there'd be like the twinkle in his eye, a little brightness, and it just wasn't for me. He always just looked kind of dead, like a little weak in the eyes. And it's almost like, that's the true him before the ego fueled by finances and fame really fueled him to be that like larger than life persona that we all came to know. But it really felt like it's really just, it's laced with just like anger and darkness. And you can tell that he doesn't really know how to like manage his emotions. I've seen a lot of talk online regarding sexuality. To me, if he is or if he ain't, that's not the issue. I think it's more so feeling the need to hide one's true identity. And like I said, whether that's speaking to his actual confidence and self-worth and self-image, that I think it's more rooted in that. Because even you got to think from a young child, his mother was kind of trying to literally beat him into this image of what she wanted him to be, exposing him to things very early that a child should not be privy to. That's more of the conversation to me than who he liked to lay down with. But all in all, episode 1, The Reckoning, this was really good, y'all. This was really good. Please, again, drop down in the comments. Let me know your thoughts on Sean Combs' The Reckoning. It is the new Netflix documentary giving us all the inside of Sean Combs and what led to his recent conviction that has landed him with 50 months in jail as of now. If you enjoyed this, if you want to get into part 2, please make sure that you are following me at Hey Media Money and of course the Media Sip. Let me know y'all thoughts. I really want to discuss this, y'all. It was so much that was discussed about our culture, so much discussed about the commercialization of Black culture that Diddy really spearheaded. So I want us to really dive into this. Let me know y'all thoughts. And as always, baby, take a sip. Take a sip and take a second. Because life is beautiful as long as you let it. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe so you can catch part 2. Thank you.